In an earlier video, we developed the market equilibrium situation, and we showed that an equilibrium will occur where demand and supply curves cross. And we also said that it's the only price and quantity combination where households want to buy, what they want to buy is matched by what sellers want to supply. So any other price does not match those conditions. Of course, this is all ceteris paribus. What happens if the price is above the equilibrium? Well, a surplus will occur. We can tell that this is a surplus because at that price of about $4.50, the quantity that's supplied, which is there, is greater than the quantity that is demanded. So in this case, about 6 units at $4.50. What about a shortage? Well, a shortage occurs when demand exceeds supply at that price, at a price below $3, in this case $2. So here we can see there's demand, there's supply, and so this is defined as a shortage. In this case, something like 10 minus 4 is 6 units at $2. So when do shortages and surpluses occur? Well, they occur when there are shifts in the demand and supply curves which disrupt the initial equilibrium. The equilibrium, luckily, is normally stable. In other words, there are market mechanisms which will operate to ensure that a new equilibrium is reattained at a new price and quantity. Let's take an example. Here we have a news item off the internet which reports on a fall in vegetable prices due to strong rainfalls and pressures on local growers to dump vegetables because foreigners are not buying them. Let's see this on a graph. Well, let's assume we start at a price of $3, equilibrium's at E, 7,000 cabbages in this case, let's say, are cleared in this market. Then you get favorable weather conditions which create substantial harvests and also the dumping of cabbages on the market, and this shifts the supply curve from S to S prime. Now, since the curve S is no longer relevant, let's remove it. And we can see at the pre-existing, the pre-disturbance price, which was $3, we have a surplus in the market equal to the distance EB. There's supply, there's demand, and so there's excess supply at that price. So what will happen? Well, you're going to have pressure downwards in the price because, for a start, cabbage growers will want to get rid of the surplus and they'll drop their price to do so. On the other hand, consumers or buyers will be prepared to buy more cabbages. They move down their demand curve as the price falls. So a new equilibrium eventually occurs at E prime as demand has moved down their curve and supply has moved down theirs. And the surplus gets smaller and smaller until there is no surplus left and we get a new equilibrium. Now notice as well that the quantity has changed, that the quantity traded in the market has changed, which implies that there's a reallocation of resources in the economy of land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship that has occurred through this equilibrating process. Now, a surplus can also be caused by a fall in demand. Let's show that. In this case, let's assume we're talking about coal exports. And let's assume there's a world recession, which shifts the demand curve for Australian coal to the left. So we end up with a surplus, in this case, of BE, because this is the new demand situation at B. and this is the supply situation at that price of $3. And so there's a surplus of BE. Now again, there's going to be mechanisms which move the price back down to E prime. Australian mines will try to reduce their surplus by being prepared to accept a lower price, whereas the buyers of coal will be keen to actually purchase more coal as the price falls. So eventually equilibrium will be attained at point E prime, and of course again there are reallocation resource implications of that change in market conditions. What about a shortage? Well, we could have a shortage. Again, we start with shortage through an increase in demand. We start in this case the same equilibrium point E, clearance quantity of 6. In this case, let's assume we're talking about share prices. In this citing, say, Woolworths shares. So the initial price is $3 on the market, and there's an upsurge in demand for the shares because favorable expectations are seen about the company's performance are seen to augur well for the future, and so we see the demand curve shifting to the right. And again, this creates a market shortage equal to the distance EB, and again we get market forces operating as the price goes up. So some purchasers of shares are deterred, some buyers of shares are deterred by the higher price. They move along the demand curve from B to E prime, whereas some people can see profit in the higher price, so they're prepared to supply at the higher price. And only at E prime will the wishes of demanders and suppliers be the same, and equilibrium will be reattained at a new higher market price for those shares. However, shortage could also occur when the shift comes from the supply side. In this case, let's talk about the wine market as an example. Here, the shift has been caused because of poor grape harvest, meaning that suppliers don't have as much wine as they had in the previous year. And you can see from this that there's a shortage equal to the distance BE. And again, mechanisms are put into place which move consumers up their demand curve from E to E prime. Higher prices will deter some people from buying wine. On the other hand, high prices will induce some suppliers to supply wine, more wine. For instance, they may shorten the vintage process. In other words, sell their wines before their peak because they want to make a little bit of money, or they may even import wine. So we have a movement from B to E prime, and the shortage gets eliminated progressively, and the market sets at a higher price for wine. And again, there is this implication for resource allocation, which has been caused by the change in market conditions. So what conclusions can we reach? Well, markets are stable. What does that mean? It means that any disturbance that causes a shift of either demand or supply curves will result in a surplus or a shortage at the pre-disturbance price. The stability is brought about because prices change and they act as an automatic mechanism to bring the market back into equilibrium. Also, we've seen that when the quantity traded settles at a new equilibrium, then we're going to have a reallocation of land, labor, and capital and entrepreneurship. And so markets are, and price changes are a way that competitive market systems ensure that resources in an economy get reallocated.